quorum. So, Michael, you want to go ahead and take the roll?
Sure. Downing,
Present.
Hooker,
Present.
Curry,
Present.
Trey Scott,
Present.
Paul, Slife.
Present.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So just a couple procedural things before we jump in. First, I just want to point out if anyone is on for the Thunderbird project, it was tabled at design review. So I believe, Michael, if I'm correct, that it will not be on the agenda today. So if you're here for that matter, just want you to know so you don't wait around till we get to it, because it will not be heard today since it was tabled at design review. And then first on the agenda is the nomination of the new planning director. But procedurally, just want to say a few things. Today, the commission is a two-step process. We nominate any planning director to be appointed by the mayor. And we will be making that nomination today of Joyce Pan Wang, but her start date is February 14th, of which she would be sworn in that day by the mayor. So I just want to point out, I think Marka is on. Marka will remain, if we approve this nomination, she would remain as the interim planning director until February 14th, at the time at which Joyce was sworn in. So I just want to point that out and want to thank Marka for her service. And that she would remain in that role until the start date. What we're going to do today is I'm going to just read some background, a little bit of Joyce's bio. I'm going to ask Joyce to say a few words, and then I'll open it up to the commission to ask questions or to make comments for discussion, and then ask for a vote. Our formal vote would be to nominate her. That would be the vote the motion that we would need. So would really like to ask the commission that once we have some discussion and question and really welcome her today, we can go from there at that point. So first, I'd just like to say a little bit about Joyce and her background. Currently, she's serving as the Vice President of Community Development at Midtown Cleveland, which is an economic and community development organization, which also serves Asiatown neighborhoods. In her role, she has been responsible for overseeing urban planning, community-based place building efforts. Joyce holds a Master's of Urban Planning, Design, and Development from Cleveland State University, from the Levin College of Urban Affairs, and a Bachelor in Sociology with a minor in the environment from the University of Michigan. She also is kind of very civically engaged. She serves on numerous boards and has numerous volunteer activities. They're quite impressive, with leadership roles including the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland's Community Advisory Council, NOACA's Emerging Leaders Council, the Executive Committee of Building Hope in the City, the Executive Committee of the Cleveland Asian Festival, the Advisory Board of Ariel Economic Development Fund, CDFI, and Steering Committee Co-Chair of Unveil and Form. Her past experiences include also sitting on the board of the Cleveland East Design Review Advisory Committee, so she knows this design review process well, and the Advisory Board for Cleveland State University's Masters of Urban Planning reaccreditation process. She's been the recipient of numerous awards, including Crane's 40 Under 40, the YWCA's Distinguished Young Women's Award, and the AICP Outstanding Planning Award in 2017. Joyce, kind of as her kind of real expertise and has tremendous background in this space, but she shines specifically, and in addition to that, uplifting resident voice and vision into the practices and policies and plans. For Joyce, deep respect of people, culture, and lived experience is a powerful driver for neighborhood growth. She will bring a racial equity lens and belonging and principles to her work here, at the planning department and believes that people-centered investments and relationship building are at the core of this work. So Joyce is here. As I said, I'm going to ask her to say a few words to both the commission itself. We will be working closely with her, which is really exciting, and to the public, and then ask my fellow commission members to ask any questions or make any comments.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am so honored to be brought before you today as a nominated planning director to the commission. If nominated and accepted, I am really looking forward to working with you on making Cleveland and advancing Cleveland under the Mayor Bibb administration. To the planning staff, I've worked with many of you as well. So much talent, so much vision and heart. And so that is something that I would eagerly look forward to. In addition, I know that there's a foundation of planning here in Cleveland, sort of the Hall of Fame of many planning directors. And so thinking about folks like Norm Krumholtz and others, and most recently Director Collier, I would be honored to join this Hall of Planning Directors to continue the foundations that you have built. And finally, I would like just to say a few comments to the people of Cleveland. Part of the reason that I became an urban planner, part of the reason when I received the vocation to this calling was I love the joy, the resilience and history of the city and all the people who, live here now and have lived here in the past and will live here in the future. Part of the reason I selected Cleveland State University as the only planning school that I would apply to is for the very reason that I wanted to practice here in Cleveland, because my heart and my mind is dedicated to the city. I wanted to share some imagery to share a little bit of my vision of what I think planning can do for the city. So there's a Japanese form of pottery called Kinzuki, and it's become more popular in the West more recently, and I'll do my best to explain the depth of meaning. But essentially it takes pottery, which has been broken to many pieces, and instead of discarding it, or even repairing it and hiding disguising the brokenness, this method actually takes gold, like pure gold, and knits the pieces together so that what you have is this piece of pottery that has gold seams that brings this pottery into a new life and embodies a new history, and that this type of repair is a part of the embodiment of this object. So with that, if I could translate that into planning, urban planning can be used to connect people and connect neighborhoods. Urban planning, as we've seen over the years through physical infrastructure and through policy, can also be used to divide people. And we see that very clearly in our neighborhoods, where neighborhoods are separated or segregated along race or social lines. And I think the vision of what planning can be in Cleveland is to take those gold pieces and repair, to heal the barriers that have long existed in our city, and to usher in new connectivity, whether that's physical or social or even spiritual. And I think that these, there is so much opportunity right here in the city of Cleveland for us to become more strong and resilient. And I think under the leadership of Mayor Bibb, that this is going to become a reality sooner than we anticipate. So with that, I thank you for your consideration, for your nomination. To the people and to the commission, I hope that if selected, I will do honor to the people and the place that is Cleveland. Thank you.
Thank you. Really want to open it up to commission members for any questions of Joyce or comments or discussion.
We did have Director Fields with her hand up.
Okay. Director Field?
I took my hand out. Actually, I was just trying to remind you that we had forgot to read the preamble, but that's okay.
Okay. We'll read it before the next one.
That's fine.
I'll jump in, Lillian, and say, I've worked with Joyce in the past and had conversations with her, and I think one of the things that I'm really excited about as the Planning Commission, we're constantly focused on how we build Cleveland, often kind of the brick and mortar side, but I think there's real value to the mayor bringing forward a woman and a mother. And I think that there's a consideration that we can always do more intentionally on how we make our city work for all people and their lives, and that the city is not just a playground for people who are able to have the ability to partake in amenities, but that it's a functional place that allows people to live a high quality life. And I'm really appreciative that we're going to have that perspective at the helm of this department because it's so critical to the day-to-day lives of really so many of the 50% of the population potentially. So I think it's something that wasn't mentioned in the bio, but I think that it's something to be excited about nevertheless.
Guys hear me?
Yep.
I'm sorry, they're hammering in the back. So I'll be brief.
Yep.
Welcome, Joyce. I'm very excited for you in the city, and let's get things done.
Great. Any other commission members before we take a vote? The other thing I would just add personally, since I had the chance to witness Joyce's leadership, especially on infrastructure project like E66, while Councilman, we were doing an infrastructure project. I think the most impressive thing was the ability to seat artists and residents in decision-making roles, not just in terms of community engagement, but in terms of driving the process. And I think the question of who has expertise is broadened to those with lived experience in Joyce's work, and not only expertise to partake in the process, but to lead the process. And I think that what I witnessed with her leadership around E66 Street was that extraordinary things come from when you also pay attention to what the design process is and who sits at the table and who does the work. And if that carries through across the city to the many infrastructure projects that we have across the city to engage residents, I am more hopeful than ever about what the city will not only look like, but how it will serve the needs of the community. So I just wanted to say that. Anybody else before we'll ask for a motion that would like to say anything? Yep. All right. So with that, can I have a motion?
Move to nominate Joyce Pan Wong for the role of planning director.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Michael, can we take the roll?
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Free,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
Motion carries. It's a historic day. First female planning director in 226 years of this great city, and first Asian American planning director and first mother. So we'll see you on Valentine's Day. Get some rest and buckle up because February 14th. And Marka, I just want to say to you, we're still here to serve you in the interim, and please reach out to us for any reason. And I know that the collaboration between you, Marka, and Joyce is going to be amazing. And I want to thank you too, Marka, for your leadership in this time as well. So thank you all.
Thank you all. I'm
All
looking
right.
forward to it.
Thank you. Well, just out of procedure, if it's okay, if we could read the preamble and then we'll jump into the agenda.
Okay. In compliance with the notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and Section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meetings will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise your hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise your hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise your hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Call-in users can unmute by using *6.
Okay. All right.
All meeting activity.
Go ahead.
All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These procedures are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter via our WebEx and email have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Marka. First item on the agenda is a lot split and consolidation. This is permanent parcel number 004-19-124 at 2321 West 5th Street. Who is here to present this matter?
Madam Chair,
Andrew?
Madam Chair, Adam Rosen on behalf of Andrew Gottlieb and Key State Homes.
Okay.
Great, well, thank you.
I was gonna say, go ahead. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. We are here today to present a lot split of 2312 West 5th Street. This is a City of Cleveland land bank lot that was deeded to my client back in 2018 and has been winding through the pre-development process in Tremont with the Neighborhood Development Organization, block clubs, HDRS, and others at City Hall. And the goal here is to do infill development and add density to the Tremont neighborhood. As part of the deed from the City of Cleveland to my client, it was required that this lot be split and that an affordable unit be added to the back half of the parcel. And throughout the way, there's been various revisions and changes and approvals, and has received the support of the Tremont Block Club, as well as Councilman McCormick and the Economic Development Committee of Tremont West CDC. This project has experienced some delays as a result of the long pre-development process, the pandemic, and all the other things that make construction difficult. But we're really excited to move forward and are looking for your support today. We'll be before BZA next month to receive a handful of zoning variances, and then we believe construction can begin in the spring. I believe that the architect is here. I couldn't see on my screen if Gary was here. He might be able to walk us through a little bit of the design. Gary, are you there?
Yes, I am, Adam. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, as this, this goes back in the history where, the Planning Commission was looking forward thinking about how to increase density within this community, within Tremont, where it was a community of, let's say, roughly 40,000, and years ago, now it's 10, and so the idea here was to increase the the density for the missing middle by putting this carriage house design in the rear of the unit, which the missing middle, as I'm sure you all know, it provides affordable housing for middle class and working class people, whereas there's a lot of development that focuses on higher income with townhomes and so forth. This also helps to reduce issues of gentrification. So that all being said, we are with the missing middle, the whole idea is that years ago people lived with 6 or 8 or so people in one house, and now today we don't live like that. It's a whole different lifestyles that we have with might be 2 or 3 people, maybe 4 in a house. So this helps to improve the population density within the city. It also allows people to be able to age in place. A carriage house is something that would in the rear. It allows people that don't have the need for larger areas. It also gives people an opportunity to move in that are at the beginning stages, buying something in a neighborhood, which gives economic diversity to the neighborhood. So I don't mean to go off on all of the positive things to why this is important, but that it is important. So back when this was approved originally with the Planning Commission, there was one of the things that the Planning Commission did want a little bit of background was a front porch, and it was closer to the street. The block club, the Tremont Block Club, they were looking at it and said they didn't want the porch because a lot of what's around it doesn't have porches anymore, even though that historically was a feature on these homes. And then so we pushed it back. We met the setbacks and put a side, instead of a porch, a little side entrance stoop that allows some opportunity to engage with the people on the street. So that's kind of the big thing that happened with going from Planning Commission to the Block Club. And I mean, we feel these are very attractive units in terms of the design, and still have worked with Planning Commission and the Tremont Block Club for meeting these a happy medium here. So I think that's about what I would want to say in a nutshell.
A technical question is, are these 2 fee for sale lots, or will this be one lot with how are you dealing with the shared?
So my understanding is that there's two separate parcels with an easement for the rear lot to be able to use the drive to get to the rear parcel.
Okay. And has that, we normally require the staff or the director to see copy of that easement prior to signing? Has that been submitted, or will it be submitted?
Adam, is that something you want to speak to? I don't know if the easement's been submitted.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it has not. I know the plat is available today. I don't know if the plat references that. I have not prepared it myself, so it would be something that we would want to submit for sign off, contingent on your approval today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we've done that before, but it would need to be part of the motion that the director has the authority to sign off once submitted.
Sure.
Okay.
Commission members, any questions?
Madam Chair, the applicant indicated that the rear unit is intended for aging in place. I would like to be contrary to that because there's no ground floor living. So if you were truly creating a living in place housing dwelling, that you would have accommodations for that. I just wanted to make point of that. I don't believe this really addresses the spirit of what was initially indicated. Can you expand on that, sir?
So, I mean, between the 2 units, they're both fairly compact in size. Obviously, if you're talking about aging in place, I mean, we're not talking about something being wheelchair accessible. It is a smaller footprint where you know, it requires less maintenance, less space to take care of, and that kind of thing. So between, I mean, I think that's it's not, again, it's not intended to be accessible through a wheelchair or anything like that. It's allows someone to age in place for a smaller footprint, smaller things to maintain. That's all.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to debate aging in place. That's not the only tenant is wheelchairs. I'm sorry, it's noisy here, but it's also gracefully allowing people to dwell on a level that they don't have to negotiate stairs in. So again, I just think there was a misplaced description, in my opinion. But I have no issue with it. Thank you.
Well, so, and to go back to that, I mean, what we want to say aging in place is that, you know, somebody that's, you know, whether they're, and I don't want to debate this either, August, but I would just say that the point is that it allows people with a middle income, with, you know, that can't afford to move into a $700,000 or $800,000 townhome or $1 million townhome in this Tremont neighborhood. It allows them to live there, you know, let's say in their 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. You know, I'm not talking about, you know, maybe aging in place is being interpreted as, you know, somebody that keeps them in their house before they go into, you know, a facility for assisted living. I don't know. That's not what we're saying, I don't think. So,
well, here's what I'm going to offer to you, Gary, and the applicant. I sit on the board for Maximum Accessible Housing of Ohio, and if you guys want to come over, we will educate you. Thank you.
well, that would be great. I would look forward to that.
Commission members, any other comments, questions, or motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do have a question. You mentioned an easement for entrance into the property. Is there parking? A garage or
There's a
parking
garage.
space?
Yeah, there's a garage for both units. There's, you know, at the ground level, obviously there's a garage for the front unit and and the rear unit that gives you the access. I mean, gives you, you know, it's a shared drive in that area between the two units.
So both units have a garage space?
Both units have a garage.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I move approval with the addition of the sign off by the director
For the easement, okay.
for
Do I
the
have a
easement.
second?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, we have a motion and a second. Michael, can you take the roll?
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Appreciate it. And the director will be able to kind of work with you when you're ready on the easement.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's input. And yeah, have a great day.
Okay, thank you. This is the East Design Review, Cedar Avenue, mixed-use building, new construction at the southeast corner of Cedar and 105. Just want to ask a question to Aaron. I believe there's two projects over there. This is not the one that I need to recuse myself from because it's not the one that the foundation's involved in. Because last time I was wrong. I just want to confirm that.
Yes, from my understanding, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. I need to swear in your whole team, or whoever, excuse me, is speaking.
That's
Okay,
me.
so do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
And are you the only one speaking today?
Yes, I should be. My colleague Jeff Jasinski is on as well, but I'm likely the only one speaking.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I must abstain from this one.
Okay, thank you. You can go to your construction issues and come back. Please come back. So there. Okay, and I would say, you know, it's a very significant project, and I know there were a few comments both from us and from design review. So if you could go through fairly quickly, but primarily focus on those those concerns that both committees had. I would appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to all the commission members. So we last presented this project to Planning Commission for schematic design review 3 months ago. We're now in the construction document phase and are settled on all of our design issues, so are now coming before you today seeking final design approval. The project design has not changed in any real significance since we last presented to you, but we have added additional information in response to comments such as landscaping, site lighting, the parking garage enclosure. So I'm going to move quickly through all of these slides that were presented previously, unless somebody stops me with a question. Again, the project is located at the southwest corner of Cedar and East 105th Street. Next. You can just jump through these next few. These were site context, site photos. You can go on from here. Next. Next again. Our program massing remains exactly the same with 5 floors of residential over a 40,000 square foot Meijer grocery store and a 3-level parking deck to the south. Next. Our building section also remains the same with the building setback about 24 feet from the street. Our podium is 21 feet high with a 10-foot setback for the residential portion. Next. And the grocer plan remains the same with our 1 entry at the southeast corner and a activated tenant space at the northeast corner. Next. The site plan also has not changed, but as a reminder, the service of this building is all located off of East 103rd Street. Our 2 residential lobbies are at the northwest corner and at the midpoint of the south edge, adjacent to the parking garage. I'll get into more detail on this site in some later slides. Our 5 floors of residential have not changed with a mix of 1 bedroom and studios and micro units. This is new information in a developed landscape and streetscape plan. We can jump to the next drawing, which are enlarged plans, a little easier to look at. So this is the north portion first. We are lining the street edge with trees, 9 laceback elms along Cedar, which are a fuller tree, and then 12 trees along East 105th, alternating between honey locusts and sweet gums, which are a thinner tree to not block too much of the view of the grocer. Adjacent to the building, we have 4 feet to 6 foot deep planting beds with a combination of low evergreens and flowering shrubs like hydrangeas. For streetscape furniture, we have benches on all sides of the building concentrated around the entries, and bike racks to the south adjacent to the grocer entry. Next is the south portion of the site. Again, with our trees continuing down East 105th and turning the corner to the 5 lacebark elms on Frank Avenue. And then along East 103rd Street, especially adjacent to the parking garage, we have 13 dense hornbeam trees, again surrounded by a combination of evergreens and flowering shrubs. The next slide here just is a look at those site furnishings, the bike racks, trash receptacles, benches. We will be using just the wood grain bench, not the charcoal color bench. And then the next slide is a look in more detail at the particular trees and shrubs that correspond to that previous landscape plan that we just went through. Next is our site lighting. And again, flipping onto the next slide, we can look at this in a little more detail at the north first. On the northeast and south face of the building, we have wall sconces every 15 feet that will wash light up and down the building facade pilasters that they're mounted to. We also have can lights mounted in the underside of the 3 building canopies to highlight the entries. As far as our site fixtures, we have about a dozen illuminated bollards in the landscape beds along Cedar, as well as a few between the parking and the bike racks to the south. And in the space between the building and the parking garage, we're using overhead strung cable lights to illuminate that pedestrian path. Next is the south portion of the site. We have our post light fixtures in the parking lot and on top of the garage. And then along the street edge of both Frank Avenue and East 103rd, we'll have lower residential scale light posts that I'll show an image of here in a moment. That is the next slide, where you can actually see the exact fixtures we're proposing with the light bollards, the wall sconces, the typical parking lights, and then those pedestrian scale lights that we have along the street. So now the next few renderings these are exactly the same as what we presented to you previously, because the design of the facade remains the same. So I won't describe these all again, but we do have a minor change to one element on the design here in response to a previous design review comment, which if you go on to, I think, one more slide. Yes, this one. So a comment we received in schematic review was to try to incorporate some more color into the building. We have to balance the desire for color with the desire of our client in the Cleveland Clinic that wants this to be unmistakably a part of the clinic campus. So we felt the best way to create an impact with color while still maintaining the clean, modern palette of the facade was to introduce color through the trellis canvas canopies. So in the next series of renderings you can start to go through here, these are updated to now show, with these various views, such as this northeast corner, these yellow canopies that would be visible over the residential terrace and provide a nice pop of color. And then this is the northwest corner, the residential entry. And then the last slide here is just a couple detail views. Also incorporating color is this service area you see here on the west side on East 103rd. It's this carved out area of the brick mass that would be painted a bright yellow for a pop of color along this west facade. Next. And this is that alley I described, the connection from the Fairfax neighborhood into the grocery store entry, this pedestrian alley between the garage and the building, where we will be incorporating a mural onto the brick wall, and you can see the strung lights above that. The next is our facade materials, which are the same as what we previously presented. The next slide, this shows those in more detail, where we have the light gray brick. Oh, if you go back one just a second, we have the light gray brick for the residential portion of the building above, with the 3 tones of metal panels that are between that brick scaffold that are shown there to the right. The lower left image is that manganese iron brick of the podium. And immediately to the right of that is the charcoal ACMU. That would be the bottom 2 feet of the podium adjacent to grade. And then our additional materials are black window mullions and the wood planks that are in the underside of all of the entry canopies. The next slide is a look at our interior courtyard, which isn't visible from the street, but we wanted to show it to give you a complete picture of the entire facade. We're using 4 different widths of narrow vertical panels in a silver and a medium gray. Those 2 tones of gray panels have the same type of diagonal movement across the courtyard facade in the same way that the street-facing facades do. This courtyard, while it's not shown in the rendering, is going to be heavily landscaped as it's the primary amenity space for the residents. These last images now, this is also new information we're presenting today, and it's the approach to the parking garage. We're planning to wrap the upper 3 levels of the garage in a tensile mesh with a custom graphic. The mesh has a 50% opacity to allow for views out of the garage, and to meet the open air requirements. I want to stress that the graphic we're showing here is not what is going to be executed. We're planning on working with a local artist or a graphic designer to develop the specific graphic. So today we're seeking approval on this approach of the tensile mesh, not the graphic itself, as we know we would need to come back and review that with you later. And this is just, again, the same slide that we presented previously, which is building signage. There hasn't been any changes made to this. So with the project now in construction documents, the design has been approved by all of our project stakeholders, priced by the CM, and was within our budget. So with that, we're confident that what we're presenting today is our final design, and we plan to build this and are therefore seeking final design approval from the commission today. So thank you for your time, and we'll look forward to hearing any comments, any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Just procedurally, even though this is final approval and there may be comments and conditions, it is true what you said, the specific graphics of that mural would have to come back if the commission approves the concept of the wrap.
Yes.
So just that would be noted. And second is that you're aware that there can be no advertising on that mural in the future, that it would need to be artistic because it would exceed the signage code and be more like a billboard. So just want to make that clear as well. Okay, commission members, any questions or comments? So I don't hear any questions or comments. Can I have a motion from someone for this as final approval?
Yes, I move approval. Downing.
I second McCray Scott.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? I would say, as I said before, I really like the design a lot. And even like some of the additions you've presented today, especially the wrap. I think will be a significant enhancement to this project so that the garage is not so prominent. So thank you for that. Let's take a vote, please, Michael.
Downing,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Once again, this is East Design Review. This is Facade Child Learning Center. It's new construction, 6215 Quincy Avenue. Daryl, if you are here, anyone else, I'll need to swear you in. If you can say hello.
Hello, Madam Chair, Daryl Mapson from Tribe Architects.
Hi, good morning. And if there's anyone else, just need to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, this is a new construction of a daycare center in the central neighborhood. It's located on Quincy Avenue. A little history of the property. It was a vacant brick flat there for a long time, which the owner bought and demolished. Our new building will go on a footprint of that vacant flat. It's located between East 61st and East 63rd in the middle of the block. And on each side are city-owned lots, which are currently lawned. If we can go down a little bit, we have some context photos. It's currently surrounded by a lot of infill new housing on the side streets. Keep going, Maurice. Some more context photos. More context photos. More context photos. Mm-hmm. Okay, to the left, you could see our site plan. You can see the building to the left, lower left-hand corner there, with parking to the east side. And then to the rear, we have a enclosed play area with a wooden box shadow fence We have landscaping along the parking lot with some honey locust trees. The building sits back about 7 feet from the sidewalk. So we have a pedestrian entry there and also another entry off of the parking lot, the main parking lot. Most of the children in this facility will qualify for transportation. So most of the transportation of the kids will be by van. Also, you can see on the lower portion of this drawing, you can see the 2 elevations, one of the entry off of Quincy Avenue, the pedestrian entry, and then the entry off of the parking lot. The floor plan, you can see there, upper middle of the drawing. It's a double-loaded corridor with classrooms on each side, entrances at each end of the corridor. We have a central lobby and with a bathroom. Okay, you could probably go down to some renderings here, Maurice. Oh, it's just a design sketch early in the game. And you could see the building, maybe the next rendering, Maurice. Okay, this is the entrance off of Quincy. Our materials our entrances are made of face brick with canvas canopies right at the doorway. The other body material is stucco. The base is a split face block with a concrete precast sill and a shingled roof to fit in with the residential area. Okay, you could probably go to the last drawing, I think shows our landscaping. It's a parking lot. You can see with the entrance. Okay, and you can see our landscaping of the rear play area. We have pole lights in the planting bed to light the parking lot. We have an enclosed trash area in the parking lot also. It's a bike rack directly to the north of the entrance off the parking lot. And you can see our landscaping plants there too, and the fence and also the pole light. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time. We're excited about the project. It was a long vacant building that was in this location. So we're happy to bring in some new construction and a much needed daycare center in the area. Thank you.
This is, yeah, thanks to commission members. This is for final approval. There were some design review comments. I want to ask Daryl, I think there was a suggestion that you would come back to staff with the final material samples for sign off, et cetera. And there was, I think you already did it. There was a comment about a handicap accessible space. Just want the commission member to know that there were a few comments that we should incorporate, but I don't think it needs to come back to the commission on the materials, but it does need to come to staff.
Will do.
Okay. Commission members, any comments or questions?
I'll move approval.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, Michael, please?
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Cray Scott,
Yes.
Life.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing this under construction.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Fluker, on your retirement. If you ever get an itch for the drawing board, we always have a space for you at Tribe Architects.
He's
care,
really
Daryl.
not,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
he's not really retired. That's not true.
I know.
He's under oath, so no.
We grew up together. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, this is East Design Review also. Proposed demolition of a 3-story building at 121, permanent parcel number 121220225, adjacent to 10703 Quebec Avenue. We have Mickey Westbrook here, if I could swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, take it away.
Thank you for hearing this proposal here. We are adjacent to this building. I work at a company called Specrete, which we manufacture additives that go in grouted concrete. So we're in a manufacturing area here. We're tucked between, if you want to go to the next slide, tucked between the Fairmount pumping station and Quincy Avenue. And we are the building, I think if you go to the next slide, it zooms in a little bit further. So we are the building directly west of the Starred building, and the Starred building is the building we're proposing to demolish, which has always been referred to as the alum building because it was used to store this raw material called alum that was used in water treatment. And it was originally built for the water treatment plant. At some point, I'm not sure it was our company, but we acquired it. And then when our company took over in early 90s, it was already part of the property. So since then, we've never used it. It's remained vacant. I think you could go to the next slide and it'll show it in satellite view. Yeah. So that light gray building there, that's us, that's the manufacturing. And then the Starred building is the one that we're proposing to demolish. And we're really all that's there on that. It's a dead end street. It's called Quebec Avenue, but it's not the same as the Quebec Avenue that is west of 105th. And then everything that is to the south of Quebec right now has been demolished. So that's just a big open field at this point. And that was really the real impetus for wanting to remove this, is that with all those buildings south of Quebec demolished, this is now much more clear and easy to see as you're driving by on Quincy or Woodhill, at the Woodhill Circle. And it's somewhat of a dangerous building. And so that was really the real reason we wanted to take it down. It seems like it could be a target now, and we would really like to eliminate it so that we don't have to worry about any of the issues with it. So I think if you flip through the next ones, just spend a little bit of time on it, you can see the current condition. This is the back of the exterior. They had a train depot that would actually go through. And so there's some holes. You can see there's a hole in that small little opening there. And then there's also ones where the trains would dump their materials. Yeah, those are train tracks where the mouse is there. And so there's, open holes where people could fall outside the building even. Here's the current condition. Inside you can see the doors. There's really missing doors or doors that don't function, and the interior is just filled with decay and things like that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Are you demolishing this and just grading and seeding this?
Yeah, the idea is to just grade and seed and make it more grass space, which to the east and west of the building is grass right now, and so it would just be more of what's there. So,
and what is the long-term use of the site?
No plans for long-term use. Just wanting to eliminate, all the hazards that are there. You can see as we're flipping through, there's some areas where there's elevator shafts that are now missing. All of the metal that was inside of the building has been removed years ago, and it's the building is in a state of decay at this point, and it just seems too hazardous to leave as it is.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's our proposal, just to take it down and then plant grass seed over it, leave as many trees as we can around it. But there are a couple trees that are adjacent to the building that'll probably have to come down.
Is there a basement?
Yes, there is. And
be removing the basement too?
I would have to check with B&B Wrecking is the one who's helping us with this. I have to see what they were planning to do. I'm not sure on that.
I think we would require that, but I'm gonna
Okay.
default to my commission members. We do not allow you to fill in a basement like that, but go ahead.
Okay.
Commission members?
I move approval with the caveat that the basement be removed.
Okay.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I just have a comment. One point that was raised during the East Region Design Review Committee meeting was that there is a lot of development planning that is currently in place with the Woodhill Estates, the Thrive 105-93 plan, and that was brought to the attention of the applicant as well. And one of the things that we want to commit to is to ensure that the applicant is very clear about other planning activity in the area so that, we can make a cohesive decision in the future about how the land is used. So I just wanted to
Absolutely.
put that
And
on record.
I made that note after our last meeting, and I appreciate that. And we will, if we ever have plans to do anything with the area or develop it or anything, we would definitely check with the Woodhill Estates group.
Okay. I think also the flip side of that, Mickey, is that you maybe proactively start to participate in some of the community planning that's going on also, even as you're thinking about what you're doing. So there's a lot of planning going on, I think is the point that Kim's making, and that you guys ought to participate in it a little bit now as ideas are emerging.
All right. Could do that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions from commission members? Okay, call the roll.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Life.
Yes.
I will say it's a little sad. It's a handsome little building.
Right.
Well, not a little building, but it has some really interesting quirks that I'm sort of mixed in emotion. I understand it's unsafe and there's context, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
I feel the same way. We looked into seeing if there was any way we could use the space, but it's just in too bad a shape to do anything with. It wouldn't make sense to do it. So, but I totally agree with that sentiment. I feel the same way.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Maybe could also connect with Kim and get a sense of what community kind of planning meetings are coming up in the future and start to maybe just coordinate with her directly would be great. So Kim, if you could reach out directly, that would be great.
Yes, we'll do.
Okay. This is Far West Design Review. Lake Avenue Townhouse, new construction, final approval. This is at 9803 and 9805 Lake Avenue. Wesley Harbor is here. Wait, if you could go back, I just wanted to see the note about when we saw this last. It says we gave schematic design approval in November. So we're seeing it again. So Wesley, can I swear you in?
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, take it away.
All right, thank you. Good morning. We're here for a hopefully final review of the 6-unit Lake Avenue Townhome project. I'll go through this pretty quickly as you've seen it before, and there's been a couple small revisions in response to the Far West Committee. So we're on the south side of Lake Avenue between West Boulevard and Clifton. Here you can see the site. To our east, we have an existing 2-unit home that we're going to be rehabbing into new homes. And then to the west, we have a large multifamily structure. Next. So here we have the site plan, of course. On the bottom, we have the rehab and then the 6-unit townhome project west. We would be doing vehicular access for both phases for this. One of the comments from Far West was to add a larger shade tree to the front lawn, which you see there along the driveway. Next. Here we have an updated landscape plan. On the previous site plan, we also show an additional sidewalk that leads to the rehab. However, we are just talking about the townhomes today, but we did revise that site plan per Far West. Next. They also asked to see just a simple drawing of the proposed fence at the property line shown in red that you see in the site plan. It'd be a very simple fence, 6x6 posts with horizontal 1x6s, painted charcoal or black. Next. Exterior elevations of the townhomes. Next. Next. And one more. The Far West Design Committee wanted to see how we were going to lay out these cement board joints, which you see here and on the next 2 pages. And then here we have the front facade of the townhomes. We're kind of, from a density standpoint, kind of in between the rehab that you see to the left here and the larger multifamily project to the west. We're looking to, relate in material palette to those areas, but doing it in a more contemporary way here. So that was really most of the commentary we got back from Far West. I believe a motion form of approval was forwarded to Michael Bozak yesterday. So I believe you've seen all of these images prior. So unless there's any other questions,
Right.
open to hear any comments.
There were 5 specific conditions, and they were actually conditions. So just curious about them. One was the detail at the corners, the materials to include more human scale elements. I'm not sure what that means. Further develop the corners again. I'm not sure what they mean by corners, and increase the size of the windows, and consider pavers in the parking lot.
I think that might be a different project. I haven't heard any of those.
You're right. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay, that's fine.
Far West. Okay. So they approved with the landscape island between the garage doors and move the American beach at least 10 foot from the driveway. Did you address that? Apologize.
We presented on Wednesday, so we haven't gotten a chance to update the drawings, but we're certainly going to integrate those into the permit submission, which Adam Davenport would be looking at before they're approved.
Okay.
So, but we agreed to make those changes.
Okay.
I move approval incorporating the design review recommended changes.
Second, Fluker.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would like to
Okay.
say, good luck, Wesley. This is a great project. For some reason, it seems like we've seen this like 10 times, but
Yeah, it feels that way. Thank you. Thanks.
Because we always see Wesley, but it's good. All right,
That's right.
Let's call the roll.
Downing,
Yes.
Hooker,
yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're moving to the next one, which is the comments that I read. So I apologize, Wesley. The comments I read were for Abbey Road. This project was tabled. So actually, before we get started, I'm gonna need someone to remove it from the table. This is 1910 Abbey Avenue, and this is the Abbey Avenue apartments and townhomes new construction. They're seeking schematic design approval. So can someone make a motion to remove it from the table?
I move that we remove it from the table. Down.
Second, Fluker.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
And I think I'll point out that I think late yesterday we received a letter from the neighborhood group about parking. So Brandon, if you can address that, if you saw about sort of parking issues in the neighborhood while you present, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you swear in or?
Oh, yes, I apologize. Do you swear to tell the whole, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do. And Michael Panzica is also on the call, the developer. Probably need to swear him in.
Anyone who's going to speak, Michael, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to be brief to focus on obviously changes. This is the first time you've seen the project, and we've had a considerable amount of dialogue through the process with various shareholders as far as Block Club and economic development and others. So the site is located right between West 20th, West 19th, and Abbey Avenue. If you want to go to the next slide. Just some site context. Right now is a relative brown, clear brown, field site, obviously with the intentions of future development. But you're sandwiched between Abbey Park and Morgan Laundry, and right at the gateway, if you will, to Duck Island and off of the bridge. We've obviously had some significant site plan progression. Just to kind of update everybody, we've considerably taken into account a lot of the comments and feedback we've received through the neighborhood. Obviously, when we came, I think originally there were some strong opinions on the orientation and site and logistics of the layout, which we've, I think, addressed a far considerable amount of them to strengthen the project. We're happy with where we are. So I guess go next slide. So there's been a strong emphasis and discussion on the circulation and vehicular and pedestrian circulation for the site. And we tried to convey that in this diagram here. To the north of our site is the Smith Court. It's a one-way access to the east. And basically West 20th is your main artery access to downtown, directly downtown. So vehicular circulation would circulate around the site in a clockwise motion. Some items on this that was discussed and significantly addressed was creating a parking pull-off / parking area for more of I'll say a short-term parking, cut into the sidewalk to allow for a rideshare, Lyft and Uber, in addition to 2 parking spaces for quick access into the proposed retail. We have we combined all the potential boutique retail spaces that were on both sides of the building to one concentrated corner on West 20th to allow for about 1,800 square foot of retail space at the corner of West 20th, and allow for also a future provision patio, potentially depending on the user there, so that those businesses could strive. In addition, we've been working with the councilman and then obviously with the residents and neighborhood. There's been a significant push and desire for us to have a one-way right turn only exit onto West 20th, so that the vehicular traffic exiting the site of our building would not have to loop around the entire site, around Smith to West 20th, to Abbey Avenue, and then up north through West 20th. To try to alleviate some stress to the neighborhood circulation. We're working through that. We've provisioned the ability to allow that exit to come through. This project is under the urban form overlay, which does not allow for that access point to occur on a main street. Everything needs to come through the rear access to Smith Court by right. We've had discussions with the Councilman McCormick, and also the neighborhoods that we've planned for the allowance of that, and that independently for approvals, this project can move forward with us then pursuing that post-approval, post-construction, or post-start of construction, because it is a BZA adherence, and we'd like to focus the BZA discussion of that exit path, to solely that element, because there are no other variance requests, for this project by right. Next slide. So as mentioned, you can see here the 4 parking spaces right on West 20th. And then the bottom left corner, the 1,800 square foot retail space at Abbey and West 20th. On the mirroring corner at West 19th and Abbey would be the main lobby, main entryway for the residents and residence users. The formwork of this is relatively a U shape. It's slightly on a kind of a J in site plan, and then 10 minor townhouses that flank West 19th and 20th. Next slide. Skip the next three, I guess. Go right to the renderings. So we've made some significant changes to the exterior design of this building, having it be a much more emphasized, brick facade, emphasizing the corner, the significance of the corner, in addition to adding significant amount of exterior lighting effects to the building, again, allowing this to be really a beautiful lit backdrop to a dark Abbey Park at night with kind of an ambient glow, and then celebrating and emphasizing the corners of that, and the addition of additional balconies. The signage here, we would have to come back for final. We don't know what the building is going to be branded yet, but we feel that the strong emphasis at both corners, celebrates the entrance and gateway as you're approaching, obviously, towards West Side Market. And if you go to the next slide. Here's the opposite corner, which is pretty similar design, but during the daytime, showing that, nice strong corner brick facade. And then on this corner, you can see the emphasis of the retail space, the ability to have a patio if that, if that space would desire, and incorporating that. And next slide. Here's a night shot of that corner with some, can lights and awning structures to allow for some, entry, and then some proposed potential retail signage, emphasizing the ability currently design that retail space to be able to be broken up potentially to, 2 or 3 small users, or potentially 1 1,800 square foot retail space to hold that corner. Next slide. So view back with the townhouses, looking back towards Abbey Avenue on 19th. Next slide. Here's a view back basically from Abbey Park, looking back at the building and structure. And a view down West 20th. And then I think it's just elevations, material palettes. Materials have been just slightly changed and tweaked to a little bit richer, stronger palette with some warmth and, again, creating some emphasis there. I think we also have an updated site landscape plan as well. Again, ensuring that we have some, tree-lined streets, creating a nice ambient streetscape for the pedestrian path with foundation plantings, creating an inviting environment to all these walk-up apartment units that are in the center of the block and at the back wings of the building, to the public, more commercial space entries on the retail and the apartment side. And then I think we just included some of the imageries of past versions of the design. I think we're pretty happy with where it is. I think we've received or heard that the neighborhood's pretty happy with the direction that it's headed. To answer the question, I know that there has been some concerns about parking and parking in the area in the neighborhood. We're just slightly under 1-per-1 parking requirements. This is in the urban form overlay, which allows a 65% requirement from the 1-to-1. I think we're at about 78% if you have the true number of total parking spaces for the retail and the apartment residential user. As far as I think there's 88 or 89 spaces for those, and then there's 20 spaces additionally for the 10 townhomes. And from what we've gathered from city planning staff, that they feel that there's all on-street parking along West 20th. On the opposite side of the road, it's underutilized in other areas, and just the urban form overlay was obviously created for a reason with that parking reduction. So we do have ample bike storage capacity, both as in a public facing aspect and then also internal secure within the building. So we feel that the project is justified with the parking counts that it has and is conforming to right by that urban form overlay and exceeding it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commission members, any comments or questions?
I'll jump in, Lillian, and just say, and this was mentioned in the presentation about this idea of the exit out on West 20th, which would require some additional, I think, approval from BZA, but that's in speaking with Councilman McCormack, that was his big point, that he feels that that's the right move, that people leaving this development are their preferred or majority route is going to be up 20th to Lorraine, and from there they're either coming into Ohio City or going over the bridge. So he is supportive of that move, and as part of this approval, and then also moving forward with whatever additional approvals it would need.
Okay. I mean, one idea would be that even though this is a BZA matter, Councilman, that if we added it to the motion that it is our preference, even though it's part of a later, not a condition, but a preference, it would assist them down the line when they come back to BZA. We can't require it, obviously, since it's not, but we can encourage it so that when they do come into BZA later, that they know that was, they can state that it was our preference too.
I think that, yeah, Lillian, if I could be, we would agree with that statement. And again, we're pursuing it, but it's obviously can be done independently from the process to start. And we'd like
but
to
it might help
we
you
keep that way.
because it would give you some certainty when you came there that they'd say the commission felt the same way. This is what we would like down the line. And so, Councilman, I don't know if that would sort of give the enough of what you're saying, Councilman Slythe, of what the councilman would like as well.
That sounds like a good route.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we also have Donna Gregonis with her hand raised.
Sure. Donna?
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission. Donna Gregonis with Tremont West Development Corporation, Neighborhood Development Director. So we have been working closely with the design team and the community on this. The community still has some concerns about the flow of traffic and parking, but they have made significant progress. And there will still be opposition to the site from some people, but we have been working on the plans. And, we're, as an organization, have been pretty happy with the progress that's been made, and look forward to working on this further with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I have my hand raised.
David, yes.
Yes. Hi, I'm Dave LaSalvia. I'm from the Duck Island Block Club, and thank you, Madam Chair, for letting us speak. We just want.
I can't hear you for some reason, David, and I don't know if anyone else can. And we still can't hear you.
How about now?
Now
can you hear me now? Great, yes. Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry about that. For letting us talk as a resident and representative of the Block Club. We just wanted to make sure that, sort of in the spirit of engaging the resident voice, we wanted to make sure that you understood where our issues were with some of the parking. We are ecstatic that you would approve or at least champion allowing an exit outside through onto 20th. That would help immensely. And when it came to parking, I think we did another survey, as we will probably intend with all of these large projects that are inundating Duck Island. We have a number of them starting and in the plans, as we can see, all of them subject to the urban overlay, which is a concern. We understand that the spirit of the urban overlay and the transportation-oriented development makes sense. However, as a smaller community with few outlets to main roads, we are sort of isolated by bridges and the RTA line itself. We do worry about what kind of quality the residents will have, quality of parking and life when we have so many large projects coming into our small neighborhood. We took a second survey. The first one we did helped along with design issues and brought up the issues of flow. The second one, we asked if these changes adequately improved on the design, and our results, and I'm not sure, I do believe Elaine sent the PDF of some of the results, but we still have 67 or 68% and 72% of the residents concerned about parking and the Smith Court egress. And a little bit about the exterior design. We still have 32% who are in favor of it. These things we feel that we can try to work on. But it did cause us to think, how is this urban overlay affecting our neighborhood with projects like the RTA Red Line Greenway area going in, the Pearl just down the street on Columbus. We still have an area across from Abbey Park that is going to be developed. We have just to the north of us, Waterford Bluffs with 246 units there. And so you can see why it would be a concern. We decided to go out and look at some of the other developments in our area to find out what is the parking situation. And we looked at about 19 different developments, a lot of them built within the past few years, and found that all of them have one-to-one parking. A lot of them exceed one-to-one parking, and all of them say that they're having problems with parking. If that means looking for extra lots for their residents, or just having complaints from their residents. And so I looked specifically also at those that were under the urban overlay, which would be the Dexter and also the intro. Both of those are providing one-to-one, even though it is under the overlay. And they are seeking, one in particular, or the intro is seeking extra lot parking, and the Dexter has waiting lists for parking and also more cars on the streets. We just want to make sure that we're presenting our concerns about the parking situation. We look at this project not as a total townhouse and apartment, but as apartment buildings, which is the majority of the project, running about 67% parking. If adding in the townhouses, yes, they're up around 76 or 77%. And that certainly falls within the lines of the urban overlay. We just want to make sure that we let both the Planning Commission and the developers know that we're concerned about how many streets or how many cars can end up on the streets. Any estimate from 50 to 60 some cars will need to find street parking. And those empty, underutilized streets will soon be filled with cars, with more projects to come. And so I think we just want to make sure that we're heard, and we're trying to find out what we can do to work with the developer to see if anything can be changed.
Okay. Well, I thank you, David, and thanks for the engagement of the residents. I'm going to ask is for staff, Marka, maybe for you. I mean, it's a larger question, right? This is
yes,
a larger question about the urban overlay in general, and so its specific application to this area where it may not work as well as it does in other areas. And there is a lot of development pressure here. So if it's okay, I'm going to ask Marka and maybe David, when the new planning director arrives, I think it really would be worth you guys coming and just having a conversation about the larger issues. And if there is something that the commission can do that assists in this sort of sense of what the right percentages might be or other things, I think we'd be willing to consider them. So that is my suggestion for how we should work together going forward, if you're okay with that. Because it's a larger question about the district, not just the specific project.
Absolutely, I understand.
And it's a good one to raise. So
could we flip to the site plan just while we have that discussion?
Brandon, I'm not sure if we like.
No, just for reference is all.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Oh, for reference.
Madam Chair, we also have Matthew Moss, the neighborhood planner, with his hand raised.
Okay, Matthew, please
and then
go
we
ahead.
have we also have Jason Petro.
Okay,
Petrov.
so just for you guys really to keep your comments short, a couple commission members have to leave at 11:30. We have still quite a few elements, so just really brief, please, and we'll kind of keep moving.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to comment briefly that I think you're absolutely right that we need to have a broader conversation with the community about this. I just wanted to note quickly that, when this area was rezoned, it was rezoned with the understanding of the investments that are being made in alternative transportation modes, particularly the Lorraine Cycle Track, the Red Line Greenway, which is now open, the RTA West 25th Station, the Red Line Station, as well as the forthcoming BRT plan on West 25th. So we're trying to work all these details out in concert so these other modes of transportation are viable and have people living near them. So I think we need to have more conversations with the community, and I think that's absolutely what we'll do moving forward.
Okay, so I'll actually task you with convening a meeting for more discussion, if that's okay, since this is your area, and maybe when Joyce begins, you just call them in. All right, we have one more comment. What's the second?
And also Michael Panzica has his hand raised as well.
Michael.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. As it relates to the parking discussion, is not, I guess, an element of the project that we take lightly. It's not it's something that just because the zoning allows for it that we're going to necessarily take that. We want to make sure we have a very marketable project. David, I certainly respect and appreciate the research you did on other projects. I can say from projects that I'm involved in, owner of, one in particular in Little Italy, which is, I would argue, maybe the most parking constrained neighborhood in the city, that we have a 32 unit project in that neighborhood that is predominantly 2 and 3 bedroom large units that caters really to empty nesters, and we have 1-to-1 parking there, and we're actually underparked. So we are seeing elements of renters in the market take advantage of transit oriented options, and we think the site lends itself to that, and we reacting to the urban overlay that allows us to have a parking reduction. So thank you.
Thank you. There was a comment.
Jason Petrov.
Yeah, Jason, when there's a comment in the chat that Donna would like to be involved from Tremont West in the discussions that you might have in the larger district. Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, Jason Petrov. I'm a resident of Duck Island. Thank you, Madam Chair and the Commission. I just would like to state as a resident, again, the concerns with parking and what the unintended consequences are of the urban form overlay here in our neighborhood. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just to give a little bit more clarity, there are currently approximately 198 single family, double, and small apartment complex units in Duck Island. And between the 3 proposed redevelopments that are either before the Planning Commission in some capacity or will be built in the very near future, Abbey Avenue project, Waterford Bluffs, which is under construction currently, and the Pearl, which is currently moving through the planning process very quickly, there are there's a total of 568 new units coming to the neighborhood. So we're going from 200 homes in the neighborhood to 700 with just 3 projects. And so while I can respect the fact that we need to continue these conversations with the various groups within the city, et cetera, in the community about the urban form overlay, the reality is that this project, along with several others that are in the process right now, are going to have major negative unintended consequences as a result of parking and the urban form overlay. And so I would ask the Commission to strongly consider that when rendering a decision with this project, because those conversations are going to take time, and any changes that may need to be made to the urban form overlay are going to take time. But the reality is that we have 1 project under construction, and 2 of those 3 projects that are going to bring 600 new units into our neighborhood, more than tripling the size of the neighborhood, right now are before the Planning Commission for approvals. So with that, I would really, again, request the Commission to take that into consideration, with this project and with this project. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. All right, Commission members, I'm going to close the public portion. If it's okay, we really do need to move. So I'll ask for Commission members' comments or motions.
This is sort of tongue in cheek, but come on over to the east side, guys.
Amen. I'll move approval, Lillian. And I just have to say, hearing these conversations, real cities have parking constraints, And if you live in the center of the city, no one has a right to the street parking in front of their house. It's a public right of way. It's a good problem. I think the fastest way to get people pushing towards transit is to create parking challenges in neighborhoods. That's what real cities experience. And with that soapbox, I will move for approval.
Could you add to the motion at least the commission's encouragement around the Smith Court?
Yes. As outlined by you earlier. I'll add that to the motion.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. So two things. One, to staff, thank you. Look forward to you convening both the community around the urban form overlay as well as Tremont West, Ohio City maybe as well, just to have that conversation. Second, I'd like to thank the applicant and the community for the collaboration on the design. It is markedly better. And that doesn't often happen. Sometimes design review can result in actually a worse design. And this one is markedly better. So I really want to thank you all for kind of wholeheartedly working together on the design. So thank you.
Madam Chair, just one comment, not trying to belabor. I think when we have this conversation about parking, I think we should be a little more global about it. I think, this city needs to grow up, and I'm not saying density is bad or good, but, having to look for parking spaces, in my opinion, is not a bad thing. But, I think we need to have a meaningful dialogue around that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Southeast Design Review, proposed demolition, 11819 Buckeye Road. A question, is this the one for Providence House?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna actually ask August to chair this one, and he'll swear you guys in, just because I know the Cleveland Foundation has provided some support to Providence House on their capital. So August, take it away.
Sure. May I ask who's here on behalf of the applicant and who will be speaking?
Sure. My name is
Go ahead.
My name is Dave DeFrancisco. I'm a principal with Heedy DeFrancisco and Siebold Architects, and I believe also with us today is Natalie Leek, who is the president and CEO of Providence House, and I believe Michelle Walsh is also here. I expect I'll do the majority of the speaking, but it'd probably be good to swear us all in just in case.
I have to swear you all in if you intend to speak. So
Yeah.
do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth in this hearing, as you will answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Proceed, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And actually, what we're going to be talking about is actually the next two agenda items, because there are two adjacent buildings, 11819 and 11823. And so we'll be, I know you have to take two separate votes, but we'll be talking about both. And this is what you're looking at now is a site drawing of Providence House, their east campus on Buckeye and East 118th. You may already know that they purchased the Weiser property in 2018 and have been developing an east side campus in response to a need for their services on that side of town. They've been operating out of their campus in Ohio City on the west side for over 40 years, providing crisis childcare, serving the at-risk children of Cleveland. And so the two buildings shown in yellow, which are vacant and dilapidated, are part of their future vision for this campus, and why we're seeking to demolish them now. Next image, please. Or am I able to control? Okay, so again, this is really just the formal demolition plan. If you go to the next image, there's some photos of the two buildings. These are the two buildings. They are vacant. They have been for a number of years. They were in receivership. Our client is the court has approved their acquisition When we were at Southeast Design Review, the title had not transferred. Unfortunately, as of this moment, I don't believe the title has transferred yet. And we understand that obviously that's a condition of any approval, but because these buildings are in poor condition, the masonry is in danger of sloughing off the southeast corner of the building at 11819. We do want to try to take them down as soon as possible, which is why we've embarked on this process, given the full assurances of the courts that the ownership will transfer. It's just a matter of time. So the two buildings that you see, formerly one-story commercial structures, there's actually a second floor apartment at the back of the building on the corner, which is 11823. They have partial basements. If you go to the next image, you'll see the floor plans that we created to generally describe the buildings. And they really, in addition to being in poor condition, they do not suit our client's vision for the future of their campus in this neighborhood. And that's the other reason why it was determined to remove them rather than try to reuse them. We actually initially approached this with the hope of reusing them. But in addition to their condition, their current configuration just does not lend itself well to our client's vision. Next image, please. Just some more context photos showing the condition of the buildings. And then I believe we have some interior photos as well. Next image. Yes, and you can see image in the upper left-hand corner shows some broken floor joists supporting the first floor of one of the structures. The buildings are in poor condition. They're leaking water badly. These photos were actually taken last year. Since the client hasn't been able to get control of these buildings and stabilize them, their condition, I'm sure, is not any better today and probably getting much worse. And you can see there's been a lot of water damage, a lot of mold growth, just a lot of issues with them. Next image, please. Just want to talk a little bit about our client's investment in this neighborhood. This is the image of the historic Weiser building, which they again acquired in 2018. It's become kind of the cornerstone of their campus. Next image, please. To the back of that building, and what was already approved by city planning, is their new Crisis Nursery, which is going to break ground this spring. Construction has been impacted, like most everything else, by the pandemic. We had really hoped that it would be up and running by now, but construction is finally going to start in the spring, and so they will be providing 24/7 care for up to 20 children or infants in this facility once that building is done very, very early next year. And this will make it very similar, much more similar to their campus on the west side on West 32nd Street, for those who may be familiar with that. Next image, please. And this really is their, I'm sorry.
To the applicant, so that we
Yes.
don't delve into two different or three different agenda items, I would like to entertain a motion on demolition first, so that we don't sort of get lost in this. But before we do that, are there any staff comments? Hearing none. Any commission member comments? Would like to make, pardon?
I'll move for the demolition.
I'll second.
Okay.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Really the rest of the presentation was to talk about their future vision of this, but we are not really seeking approval of that. This was just to help everyone's understanding of what their goal for this property is.
I appreciate it. We're going to lose some commission members.
Understood.
We look forward to the overall presentation, because I know Providence House, they do great things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The next item is the 11823 Buckeye Road. You need to do a separate vote on that as well.
I move
there were two. Okay,
I can't take one motion for two separate agenda items, so I would need you to do it again, please.
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, Michael. Are you referring to the two different buildings or two separate properties?
Maurice, if you could go back, I think you skipped the 11823. Just like to be, you know, on here. There should be another slide. There it is there.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's the one you're going to be voting on now. I know they're very close together, but it just makes it better operationally.
And I'll move approval on item 2 here.
And I'll
And I
second.
Go ahead, Diane.
I'll second. Thank you.
Call, please.
Thank you. Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion carries. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is at 9310 Huff Avenue. This is schematic design approval for the Huff Amenity Building, new construction. This is Christina from RDL Architects. Anyone else speaking to this?
No, just me.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay. If you could move pretty quickly through, since this is schematic, and we'll get you some comments, but thank you.
Okay. Just a quick overview of the neighborhood. We're on Huff Avenue. We're in the Huff neighborhood. Next slide. The Gold Star is where we're proposing our building. We're between our part one of the project. We are renovating a 10-story vacant building. It's been vacant for 12 years. Yeah, this lovely structure. So it's structurally sound. So our intention is to go in, do a gut, add, we're going to have 116 affordable units. I know that this building is not part of our approval, but I want to give the context of what we're working with as kind of the whole development. The residential building property does have a HUD covenant on it, so this has to be developed as affordable housing. So therefore, this is an affordable housing project. You can see that our amenity building will be beside our residential building. It will be up towards the street. Based on the current configuration of the residential building, we're putting a lot of the stuff back where it was in that building, and it did not have any kind of provisions for an exercise room, a community space, and as part of our developer's vision for the neighborhood was also to add a kind of a medical suite to provide some healthcare services to the residents and the community at large. This is a 2-story building. So our second floor will actually kind of be like a job training, computer center. Their kind of vision, kind of like a WeWork. So it's going to be open to the residents and the community to have some services to help with resumes, business building, hopefully to add a asset to the community. Next slide, please. We're just really looking at some very kind of modest landscaping around the buildings. We will have a sidewalk that kind of connects back to a rear exit of the residential building to the parking lot, a sidewalk that connects to the street and actually also to the front of our building as well. Next slide. Just quickly looking at kind of like the floor plan here. Looking at the fitness center, community room, medical suite, the mandatory bathrooms, elevator, stair. Next slide, please. Just looking at the second floor, the different various spaces that people could work and utilize. Next slide. And let me know if I'm going too fast for this, by the way. So we're looking at the front elevation that faces Huff. We really wanted to have, these big windows facing Huff that, the community could see the activity within the building, so that the building is engaging at the street level. Some of the comments from design review yesterday is just looking at kind of these metal panels. It's going to be a mix of brick and metal panels. It's just to look at the ribbing, just how it kind of reads. Next slide. This is the elevation that will face our residential building. Next slide, please. This is the elevation that faces the parking lot. There was a comment from design review yesterday talking about working a little bit more of an articulation of this elevation. And I know we're internally kind of working through what we can do for a little bit more articulation. Next slide, please. This is the side that faces the market. The market is 7 feet away from our building. So part of this building will be obscured by the market. Again, we had another comment from design review about working a little bit more of the articulation because the second floor is definitely very visible from street level on this facade. And we are also working through those comments right now. The next 2 slides are just the sections. You know, we're looking at very typical wood frame, wood trussed building. And the next slide is the rendering. I think this is where, you know, you can really look at how this building fits with a residential tower. The residential tower, you know, based on our funding sources, our developer had to engage the community. We gave them a few different options on the color of the residential kind of facade. The community selected this, I mean, we're calling this kind of a beigey tones, but looking at the kind of the very solid masonry concrete part of this building, you know, that's remaining. So we're basically just infilling at the windows. So then with the amenity building, we're kind of wanting to play off of kind of the brutalist feel of the building. So, you know, then we went with a white brick wall that kind of ties in. And our developer really liked the box spot on Kingsman, kind of mixing that industrial feel. So that's kind of how we got to the kind of the metal panel, kind of playing the 2 different materials off. And again, from the feedback from the design review yesterday is looking at the panel spacing on the metal panels, you know, looking at how it reads and how it fits within the context. And the last slide is just kind of our material palette, you know, trying to find a white brick that would work well with the existing brick on the residential building and just kind of the tones on the metal panels.
Okay, thank you very much, commission members. This is for schematic approval.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Is there, when you talk about parking in the community space, is there parking available not only for the residents, but for those in the community that want to use the community space? Is there some off-site parking? Parking on-site, rather?
We do not have on-site parking for the community. We do have site plan approval with the parking, and if you can go to the site plan. One of our challenges is that we are working, you know, with an existing footprint, with the existing kind of asphalt or paving areas back there. So we are kind of maxing out our ability to put additional community parking on the site. A few things that are kind of working in their favor. We There is street parking right in front of our building that is open for, visitors and community. And there is a bus stop, again, right in front of our building. Our developer is working with RTAs to actually getting a bus shelter to go along with that bus stop.
I really think it would be a really good plan. I mean, the building and all that is really great. But when you're talking about community space and people from the area using the building, I think you really should consider having some sort of parking there, because if people are going to have community meetings, if maybe ward club meetings or community functions, you're going to have some sort of parking there to accommodate those that will be coming into the building. That's just my only comment.
Thank you. Commission members, any other comments or motion?
I just want to add one brief comment. I mean, there is a parking lot behind the building, and I don't know if there's any control mechanism to control who actually parks in that lot. Christina?
We're not planning on a control mechanism at this point.
So if you think about it, I mean, and it's the parking lot itself looks relatively sizable. When I look at a parcel map, it's a very significant size. I don't imagine that everyone living in the building will be having a car. So I would think that there is adequate parking for people that would be using this amenity building, coming in for a couple of hours to, utilize services or for a community meeting. So I just wanted to add that point.
I move approval. Downing.
Second, Fluker.
We have a motion and a second. This is schematic approval. So we'll see some of the work you do when you come back on all these issues, including design reviews. Can you call the roll?
Downing.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. So we have Brandon again here for 1830 East 82nd Street. This apartment is seeking schematic design approval. Brandon and any others from this team will need to swear you in. I'm going to ask that you really move quickly. We don't need to see the interiors, kind of focus on the exterior and really on design review, who are really kind of more detailed. So you can move through pretty quickly. Brandon?
Good morning. I believe I'll be the only one speaking on this project.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury again for this matter.
Deal.
Okay, go ahead.
This project's located just south of Huff Avenue on East 82nd Street, and the site basically is facing a dead end of Brookline Road. It's directly adjacent to a parking lot, also the Huff Health Neon Health Building that's along Huff and 82nd, and then the Mary B. Martin School directly across the street. It's a small 42-unit apartment building. Next slide. There's no variances for this project. We're designing within the density envelope, parking compliance, and height restrictions. So if you can just jump to the elevations and renderings, I guess. The project is a mixed material palette. There's some wood, pack clad, metal siding, board and batten, hardy board, some CMU masonry elements, and the idea of obviously creating kind of a warm, welcoming backdrop to the school that's across the street. All the materials are accents are black. We had 4 comments come up in design review, which we had no objection to. One was to look at putting the black pack clad over the entryway, the main entryway in the corner. You can go back to the rendering, instead of it being the white board and batten that's kind of shaded, it almost looks gray, but so that it has a little bit more pronounced entry. suggestion that we talked about not having a perimeter fence. This would not be a secured parking area. It'd be more, it felt like a part of the community. And the thought process here was that it would be nice to have a slight landscape buffer at the perimeter of the site, and not just have a parking lot to the edge, which we agreed with. And then taking a look at a little bit more integral aspects with landscaping at the tree lawn. And then lastly, taking a look, everyone felt they liked the design of the building. They liked how the corners angled in at the two corners, kind of welcomed you in a forced perspective to the building as a backdrop of East 82nd deading in. The only comment they had was the black eyebrows over the two white projections. Felt that it was just a kind of an added on feature. They wanted to see it be more integral to the building, and we promised we would come back when we come back for final to address that concern.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Comment, this is schematic approval, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Madam Chair, I move approval incorporating the comments from design review.
And I second.
Motion and second.
Before
Go
we
ahead.
Madam Chair, I have a question to the applicant. Does this include any of the community land trust property in the community? Are they part of this redevelopment effort? Thank you.
No, I believe all the parcels are privately held.
All right, I was curious. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Can take the vote. I go ahead. I was going to suggest that I think this is far enough along that they go back to local, but I wasn't so sure it needed to come back here if they got through local and came to staff, just because of how far along this is. But I'll leave that up to you guys. But let's call the roll.
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. Well, when you come back, it can be very brief, Brandon, if there are no other issues. How's that? This is on 1839 East 90th Street, and it will swear you in again. Do you swear to tell the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
And anyone else? Is there anyone else speaking to this?
No.
Okay.
So this site is a unique site. You may have seen this before from a previous developer. That was a large multifamily project with a structured garage being mid-block. I know it caused a lot of concerns and other items not being welcoming in the neighborhood, not fitting in with context, etc. We're here to present a new take on that project. Obviously, it's a pretty unique, exciting opportunity of all the development that's going on in this close block area. You have Addis View to the west of the site, and then it's newly branded the Lumos. We came to you guys last summer. We're I think up to the third floor construction right now. It was presented as East 93rd Apartments. This is really meant to be kind of a phase 2 extension to that project. The floor plan is basically a mirrored and rotated form, but we wanted the exterior to be its own project. So there's some nuances that carry through with it, but for the most part, it's designed to be its own building to fit within the context. As you see from the exterior of the building, a little bit cooler material palette, but a little bit stronger presence. Largely because this is such a smaller building in comparison to Addis View that's across the street. We felt that it needed that kind of significance, with the strong black hardy board that's above the second or third and fourth floors, again, to kind of be able to balance the street. There were a couple of comments though that made it. They felt that the black siding was heavy. They'd like us to take a look at it, maybe softening that. So we said we'd absolutely take a look at that. They felt that it also accentuates the asymmetrical aspect of the window spacing on the far side, and so hopefully maybe if we don't draw so much attention to it that would go away. We said we would. And then they felt some of the coping capping and stuff was a little bit strong. So again, that we'd evaluate that for final. And then the last comment was And this is just a rendering error, but there are some foundation plannings around those step up, walk up units. All the ground floor units will have a walk up private entry. And the comment was that they shouldn't be kind of ledges that you fall off. The grade would kind of come up with it and stuff. It was just a rendering error, but we'll get those addressed.
All right.
That's really it.
Commission members?
I would agree about the caps. You know, Brandon, I love to wear bow ties and things, but sometimes you have to wear a turtleneck. So
Conrad would appreciate that one.
But good job, bro.
I have a general comment I would tell you, Brandon, of today. So these ones we just saw were schematic. I would say that the architecture of the project at Duck Island was much stronger than all of these for me in Huff. Just in terms of its sort of like the nuance, the kind of more, the sort of sophisticated way that you guys thought about it from a design perspective. And I'll encourage you in all of these here to maybe take some of that refinement that you learned through that process and apply them here as you go to final, because they're markedly different for me in terms of, you know, these are almost where you were when you came in the first time on Duck Island, but where Duck Island got was much better. So I'm going to just encourage you to think about that and then maybe apply some of that refinement to these as you come back with them all.
We'll take a look. Obviously, this is a much different market and price point. So obviously, but that doesn't mean that we can't design, you know, and create a similar feel. So that's a challenge accepted, and we'll work towards that. But this is a mixed blend. You know, it's not affordable, but some of the unit sizes allow for it to be affordable. So it's a different animal, but truly noted.
I understand it, and for me, it's not necessarily just about material. It's about, in some ways, these are just a little bit more of a hodgepodge of design thinking, as opposed to that one has a more clarity to it. So that's what I mean more by this. So, all right, commission members, any other comments?
Madam Chair, I apologize. I can't access the raise hand feature from my phone. But this is Chris Shepton from Famigos.
You can't speak, Chris, then. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Just wanted to briefly state for the record that we have been working with ARPI on this project and are very excited for the opportunity that these investments will mean for the Huff neighborhood. However, in my conversations with the partners, what I've asked for is two very specific things. To Commissioner Fluker's point, we have asked them to do more community engagement and community meetings in order for residents to have a voice into this project. This meets our goals as a CDC to create a mixed income neighborhood, but we want to ensure that the residents' voice is included in the design process, as well as conversations about what the additional individuals and traffic will mean to the neighborhood. And the second is I've encouraged them, particularly because these buildings are very proximate to each other, to refine the design so that they're not so similar, but not so dissimilar that they cause a burden to the developer. I understand, particularly now with the cost of materials, the thoughts around wanting to do cost savings, but we don't want identical buildings within blocks of each other. And I further agree with you, Madam Chair. I understand the need and want to keep this price point down as we're striving towards the mixed income neighborhood. However, that does not mean that affordable housing doesn't deserve quality design. I will end my comments there. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So we'll
Chair, if I might just clarify one small point. Brandon had mentioned that this was a different design from what was originally proposed for the site. Brandon, it never got further than the design review committee. It was tabled. So this is the first, this is the first view that they have, thankfully. Thank you.
Okay. Good to hear. So Brandon, I can't remember, we didn't motion in a second, but would you be willing to do a little more work with the community as well in the next phase of these projects?
Absolutely, absolutely. We stride ourselves on being integral to the community and talk through that, and as we did on the original project as well.
Well, you can work with Kim on that. Can we have a motion? Or did we? And I missed it.
No, I'll move approval incorporating the design review comments and the wish that the developer work with the neighborhood.
And I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Downing,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Price Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Brandon, for all the development, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Apex fence screening, 1750 East 55th Street. This is for final approval. Bill, are you the only one here to speak to this?
Doug Karn is also here.
Okay. Do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
And I saw there were a few design review comments for this fencing, so you can move fairly quickly, but just hit those comments for us.
Yeah, after yesterday's meeting, we had discussed getting a 6-month sort of grace period. We're still in the process of getting the building finished, painted, getting the shrubbery put up. With the whole pandemic, we didn't have time to get a lot of this stuff finished. So we had put the fence banners up, basically trying to screen the construction that was going on. Now, hopefully the weather's going to hold and, pandemic will disappear and we'll be able to get the rest of this building finished. And get those, if there's one drawing that shows the shrubbery that we want to put in on the back side of the fence, painting the fence black. At this point, we basically just didn't have the time to get it done and put this mesh screening in. So the suggestion was yesterday, I guess, was to give us a 6-month period in which to get this finished.
Okay, so the request was that within 6 months, you remove the mesh, paint the fence, and do the landscaping.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
And what type of fence is it currently behind there?
Chain link.
It's chain link. And so you're just painting it black, basically.
Cleaning it up, making some minor repairs.
Okay.
Once the shrubbery is in the fence, it's flat black, not gloss black, and the fence pretty much disappears.
Okay. Commission members? Any comments or questions?
I'll move approval incorporating the design review comments.
We have a motion and a second. Can we call the roll?
Downing,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Price Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully we won't have to see you back here, that this will just be done. All right, the next item is AECOM, Winking Lizard Edition, seeking final approval. This is in the downtown 1300 East 9th Street. And I know that this is a kind of a larger project in the downtown, but if you could still move pretty quickly. Jim, is there anyone else to speak for this? Is Jim here?
My name is Bob Orbitz. I'm Jim's architect. I
Okay.
think Jim's on the phone.
Okay.
Yes, he is. He looks like he's muted.
Okay, so I'll need to swear you
Oh, there
both
we
in
go.
if you're both speaking. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
All right.
Yes.
All right, I think Bob's going to speak to go over the project to keep it going quickly.
Okay.
Thank you. First slide is just a general overall context of the project. You can go to the next slide. There's just some photographs of the AECom building, built in 1972. We're planning on putting a small addition on the southwest corner. We're going to match the existing building materials. You can go to the next slide. This is just a existing plan of the space, demo plan. You can go to the next slide. Next slide just shows the floor plan. The Winking Lizard is going to move into an existing tenant space, and they'd like to put an addition on with, basically with the overhead doors, the glass doors that open the space up wide open for the enjoyment of the outside. This slide shows a patio, the existing patio. We're going to come out and interrupt one of the existing planters, but we're going to rebuild a new planter in its place. You can go to the next slide. This is just a site plan to show the new addition and the reconfigured planter. We're required to put a small fence around it just for liquor control. So we have a fence going around the area, and we'll have lighting, like the clear lights that string around the patio. You can go to the next slide. That's just a blow up of the landscape plan. We're planning on matching the landscaping plants that are there. And then this is an exterior elevation, head-on views of everything. And you could probably go to the rendering. I think it's probably easier to see everything. Here's the other rendering. I think is what the design review committee liked better. But this is a view of the patio and the new small addition. The design review committee. Yeah.
There you go.
The committee had made a suggestion, instead of the slightly slanted roof that we had, to make it a flat roof, just more in keeping with the architecture of the building. So we're fine with that. And they had wanted the metal panels that we, on this rendering, show them coming down so far to come all the way down basically to the ground with just one brick showing at the base. So those were two things that we were in total agreement with. And they had asked us to look at the lights around the patio, maybe move them inboard, putting them around the planter, just so they're, I guess, less apt to get touched by people walking by. And we're okay with that. We show a small, we show a sign logo medallion on a wood frame, and they had suggested instead of wood, we make it a metal to match the building, and to actually they asked us to maybe make the medallion a little bit bigger and to lower it into the center of the frame. So we're in agreement with that. And honestly, that's really about it. I know you have a big agenda. It's been a long day, so glad to answer questions.
Thank you. Commission members.
I move approval incorporating the design review comments.
And I second.
Any other comments before we take a vote? It's nice to have some additional outdoor space downtown. So nice to take space for outdoor patios.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Let's take the roll.
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yep.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. So I believe we have two more items. You're welcome. Thank you. And I promised that we try to be done around 11:30 so we don't lose a quorum. So we'll try to get these two done. This is Flats Design Review, Foundry Community Boardwalk. This is 1831 Columbus Road. I know from Michael, this is one we maybe didn't quite have to see, but because of our real interest in the flats and public access, we wanted to see this. So we can do this fairly quickly, and thank the applicant for being willing to sit here and show us this. Please go ahead. And is this Chris?
Yes,
Anyone else who's going to speak? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's good to see you all. This is the Cleveland Foundry. You probably know the location. It's in the flats just along the Cuyahoga River. In this image here, you can see a before and after rendering. Part of this is going to be in a second phase, like the mounded seating area you see there will come later, but in this phase, most of the work on the building is going to be interior, excepting for that area where you see black brick with 3 overhead doors opening to the site. And then the rest of the work, scope of the work of this is to create a boardwalk along the Cuyahoga River that's for public access to encourage people to come and experience the river. And it terminates at the script sign, which is on the Cleveland Foundry property right now. And we don't have a before and after of that, but that's it leaves something to be desired currently, the landscape that's around the script sign. So we're hoping that this makes the shoreline more inviting, that invites people to the script sign. And also some of the things you're seeing, some of the material choices we had here. These were all the decisions were made in concert with a district-wide guidelines that are being developed right now by Merritt Chase, OHM, and Land Studio. Oh, Siri's wondering what I'm talking about. And so here are some of the lighting fixtures. We will have strip lighting on the railing itself, lighting between the pavement surfaces, some bollard lighting, and some sconce lighting to also, make it a safer area. This is some of the material choices: reclaimed barnstone, paving this is also in concert with a lot of the flats stone. A lot of the bridges are made from this material. All of the paving is based off of guidelines as well from the city or from the district. One other thing that is part of this project that I unfortunately keep forgetting is that there is a bus drop-off on the front of the building because the foundry is also, not only is their mission to get kids on the water, and they host 14, I think, different high schools in their rowing club, but they also have a CMSD school within their building. They host several students, and they have tutors in the building, and they're actually considered part of the school district. So they would like to add a bus drop-off that's in the front there that makes that more accessible, and also more accessible for the students coming and going to different events, either here or at other locations when they do their rowing competition. So I'll leave it there and open it to questions.
Madam Chair, we have Dro Sarabian from our staff with some comments.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and Commission, I just want to bring up the bus drop-off zone. It is reconfiguring a tree lawn, and usually when the street trees are being removed, the process is that we work with the urban forester before it makes it to here, but I just wanted to bring it up. Maurice, if you could go to that slide, to the Commission's attention, that if they could make that a condition of whatever their decision is, to work with our urban forester to get approval on how those street trees are being replaced or removed. They're,
okay. Thank you.
They are there at the bottom right.
Yep, important point. Commission members, any other comments or questions? I have a particular question. Is the foundry paying for this promenade?
Yes, they are. They are getting state funding. There's a grant coming from the state for this improvement, but yeah, they're paying for this and all of the other improvements to the building through that grant and with their own resources.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I've been back there. It's an incredible kind of curve. It's wide back there. When a continuous promenade is connected down there, it will be extraordinary. And I think you're also setting the bar pretty high for the design of what the future pieces of this connected promenade will be for other adjacent property owners. So it's pretty extraordinary.
Thank you. Yeah, our goal was to make it as continuous as possible with the Merwin's Wharf boardwalk. That's one of the things that the guidelines looked as a reference. That's one of the things we looked at, and that actually could be connected directly through Metro Parks property under the Columbus Bridge, but then continuing to other Metro Parks property on the other side. And we're in conversations with them about the possibility of extending this.
So, Madam Chair, I'll move approval incorporating the comments regarding the tree relocations, and really commend the Foundry for their commitment to the community. Next year, School of One will be part of our Say Yes network.
Oh, nice.
Oh, great.
That's
Second.
great. Oh, we have a motion and a second, and this was for final approval. So can we have the roll?
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Cray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Excellent. Can't wait.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, this is our last item, and so I want to thank here Howard from Dimmitt Architects for making it through this whole meeting. This is a Venetian outdoor patio downtown, and we'll need to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
I believe this is for final approval, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just be pretty brief on this. So we're proposing to add a 700 square foot outdoor patio to the Il Venetian Dining Center. So we can jump to the next slide. This will be on St. Clair between Ontario and the mall. So that operated as a patio last year, and the client would like to put a proper canopy and covered enclosure over this. So we could maybe just jump to the 3D at the end of it. Yeah, so we're proposing it's a pre-engineered canopy. It'll be a powder coated aluminum frame with a Roman shade fabric. The powder coated aluminum is intended to match the new entry vestibule off the building, and then we're kind of pulling from the storefront on the key tower with that red Roman shade. We're going to have landscaped planter boxes that kind of define the border of it. So I guess I'll kind of leave it at that and answer any questions if we have any. Thank you.
So will this, when you say enclosure, it's just a roof? There's no, it's not, it doesn't, not going to be enclosed with any like mesh or screen. It's, you mean just a kind of roof structure, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it'll be a freestanding roof structure. The canopy shade will be retractable, but the structure itself, it'll mount into the sidewalk.
Okay.
So we're not going to touch the building.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or comments? Okay, call the roll.
Downing,
Yes.
Luker,
Abstain.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. So the meeting's adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you, Marka. And thank you all for a historic day. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wow, can't believe we got it in one time. Didn't lose a quorum.
Diane was responsible for that. So just so you know. Bye. Yeah.